What'd you make of last night, man? That was amazing, that game. I imagine that's top of the rundown for you and Michael Smith coming up in 15 minutes.
It's way up there, and I think it's a great idea. Like, it's just the opposite. There aren't many times when I say I completely disagree with LeBron James, his take on basketball. Usually his take on basketball is pretty good.
Right.
He sees the floor pretty well. But when he said that whoever came up with the idea of the play-in game should be fired, I understand it was a little self-serving because he never expected the Lakers to be in a play-in position. But it's just the opposite. The play-in tournament is brilliant. Imagine we're talking about a game last night between the Lakers and the Warriors that was it was for the right to get the 7th seed. And I'm excited. I'm sitting there watching like, oh yeah, that's a big shot. So for what? For seed number 7? Really? So it brings attention to the lower end of both conferences, and otherwise you're not really paying attention to it. We're talking about championship contenders right now rather than who's going to win this play-in tournament.
Well, I mean, I'll push back on a couple things here, what you just said. First one is
That's why I miss you. That's why I like you.
Is that the play-in tournament's not going to have 2 all-time greats that are in the 7 and 8 positions due to injuries or what have you, maybe ever again. Like, we're going to see more matchups like Celtics versus Wizards in these games rather than 2 all-time greats and that are part of franchises that have won 4 of the previous 6 championships. Like I think the NBA got lucky in that regard. And the other thing is that you said that LeBron sees the floor very well. He said he chose the middle rim last night.
Yeah, right.
Michael
saw 3 rims.
So sometimes he'll just have to choose the middle one. Maybe he chose the left one when he was trying to target the play-in tournament. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm going to push back on. Let me push back on your pushback.
Let's do it.
We could do this. We can do this until the show starts.
That's true. Well, we could get your producers nervous if you're not in the chair soon enough, but that's okay.
But I'm actually in the chair right now. I'm sitting in the chair.
Look at that.
Right now.
So go for it. Push back then. What do you got?
Okay, I'm going to push back on Rich Eisen's pushback, and that is in Celtics-Wizards, you got a 50-point game from Jason Tatum. So, no, you didn't have LeBron versus Steph, but you had a guy who took over in the third quarter and gave you 50 points. And I think, most NBA fans are aware of Jason Tatum. He's been an all-star a couple of times. But once again, if you're not paying attention, you say, oh, yeah, I'm just worried. What are the Nets going to do, and the Sixers and the Lakers and Utah? You're not really paying attention to a 7th-seeded Celtics team unless you're watching a featured playoff game on national TV.
And the thing is that I don't understand is that they're not calling it a playoff game. And I guess the issue is to call last night a playoff game would be difficult if you say these statistics of, let's just say, the Wizards from Tuesday night and the Warriors on Wednesday night count in the playoffs, and neither team winds up making the playoffs. That would be, a difficult way to. But, however, it was a playoff game for the Hornets and the Pacers and the Grizzlies and the Spurs. It will be a playoff game essentially on Friday night with the Warriors and Grizzlies, and tonight with the Wizards and Pacers. So why not count all of these as playoff game statistics? Just deal with it if an 8th or 7th seed, winds up losing 2 in a row, and you got a little bit, I guess, statistical egg on your face. But these are big-time, high-stakes games, certainly with a winner go home, loser go home sensibility to it, if not reality.
That's right. I think they got to work out the they got to do some wordsmithing here, Rich. They got to work out the logistics to figure out this thing and how they're going to categorize these games. But with load management, you don't really have to think too much about it. Nobody plays a full season anymore. It's just say, hey, it's an extra regular season game. So instead of playing 61 games this year, you play 62 for some of these stars.
Yeah, maybe you tack it onto a regular season because that it's extended. The regular season is extended for these teams. That might be the way to do it. You don't name it a playoff game, but it's still tax in. And then maybe would that have given Bradley Beal the scoring title back? Because Curry didn't hit the average well enough. That Beal and Curry's, there's a scoring title at stake.
That's right.
I don't
Bradley
know.
Beal, though. Poor Bradley Beal. He's hurt. He's just wasn't himself.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.